Floyd on here running this campaign, it don't make no sense, right now in the sport of boxing, everybody know Tank finna be out the sport for a minute. The state of Florida don't play, you know what I'm saying? And they not finna make no exception for Tank. You know what I'm saying? They finna make an example out of Tank. I don't see Tank being active this year. I see him maybe 2027, maybe ending the 2027 coming back. But, at this point, you giving opportunities, right? You got the Shakur opportunity. You let that one go. You could have fought an old vet that you could have beat just off talent. You know what I'm saying? We didn't do that one neither. You know what I'm saying? Boom, now we pushing for Tank. We know Tank out the way. He got a whole bunch of other shit going on legally. You can't rush nothing legal. You see what I'm saying? They be done postponed your ass out. Catch my drill. So, right now I think the focus should be making the fights in the division that make the most sense. You know what I'm saying? Fights that'll propel your career versus hindering your career, right? Just to throw me in there, I have been doing real estate since the pandemic. Buying properties, fixing properties, things like that. You know what I'm saying? And knowing what I know now, I would have got out that shit like a year or two earlier. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm a boss. Yeah, I'm owning this. Yeah, I got real estate. You know what I'm saying? I got these. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but it was like, I don't want to keep doing this shit. You see what I'm saying? I want to be active. You know what I'm saying? And I was active then, but I won't active how I wanted to be active. Catch my drift. Like romance for me back then was, getting a big ass tree down. You know what I'm saying? And cooking on a fire outside. Then, people, valet and shit. You know what I'm saying? You go to the dispensary and go get the weed and you come back home with it. You see what I'm saying? I would have been doing that shit way earlier. You know what I'm saying? Because I was an owner from day one. I would have been doing it. I would have did it earlier. Maybe I wouldn't have had a property or two more. But hell nah. You know what I'm saying? I need to be active how I need to be active to get me where I need to be. But that country shit won't me though. See what I'm saying? That country shit won't me. I like what I like. Catch my, I ain't gonna get on here, my lady and shit, but you know what I'm saying? Anyway, they gonna look at this time and be like, damn, I wasted a lot of time, bro. And if you watching this channel, bro, don't be wasting no time. This summer, if you feel like you can get you a second job, go hustle, stack that shit up this summer, go do that this summer. But a lot of people ain't focused on hustling this summer. A lot of people wasting time this summer. A lot of folk, they wasn't prepping in the goddamn winter to be balling in the summer. See what I'm saying? So I'm telling y'all, hey, get on y'all shit. You know what I'm saying? Like me with this YouTube, I'm on this bunking. You know what I'm saying? Every day, I had been so focused on the franchise and the family. You know what I'm saying? Fuck all that shit. Throw this in there. You know what I'm saying? Throw this in there. You tired? Throw this in there. You know what I'm saying? And I think they need that personality trait. You know what I'm saying? That button, I like to call it that button and mode. You know what I'm saying? For the, you know what I'm saying? Just lock in, tunnel vision. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a dangerous game right now they playing, they playing with their youth. Don't get me wrong. Schofield young, he talented, but just imagine, how far his talent could have taken him right now. In between these fights, right? We hearing them call out guys and not fight at all, right? You not taking the right playbook, and it's sad that you got to give, somebody a playbook on how to finesse this shit, but damn, Hitchens even know this, or Keyshawn know this. Call Devin Haney out, Devin Haney this, Devin Haney, his wig fell off his head, right? And then when it's time to announce your fight, you fight everybody but that guy. That's the trick for some of these guys. It don't work for me, but like that's the trick. You know what I'm saying? You get on here, I'ma fight Tank. Tank know what's up in June. He know what's up in December, right? Then we see you doing these interviews, we getting anticipated, and then you come out and you say you finna fight me. Duh. But you not doing that. You saying you finna fight everybody, not fighting nobody, and ain't nobody fucking with you, bro. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody fucking with it. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta put a lot more in that shit. you know, to try to get what you're trying to get out. But, you know, right now, it's not as active as it need to be. And like this here, right? You know, um, I come from some pimping. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like the game wrong. They miss pimping. They not, you know, Floyd right now. You know, I think he could be marketable. You know what I'm saying? I talk my shit, I pop my shit, but y'all know I'm always keep it 1,000. I think he could be marketable. You know what I'm saying? You know, my son. You know, if my son wanted a Floyd Schofield, what they call him, poster, I wouldn't be mad. I don't see him out here doing nothing he ain't supposed to be doing. You know, seem like he a great father, a great son. You know, I don't got no problem with that, but we just need to start marketing that part a little bit more than the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? You know, I would love, you know, to pop up on the Schofield. You know what I'm saying? You know, hey, bro, my son want an autograph or something. You know what I'm saying? You know, whatever the case may be. But, you know, you got to put yourself in that contention. How these kids going to know about you if we just on Mill City? You know what I'm saying? We just on Mill City. And shout out to Mill City, you know, big dog. You know what I'm saying? In this space. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying, goddamn. You know what I'm saying? What we trying to do? We trying to turn up or what? You know, I know you got the money, bro. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no question Schofield got 1,500 right now. You know what I'm saying? Go push up with Pop. Go push up to a local boxing gym, bro, and go give out waters, you know, sandwiches. You know what I'm saying? Go out there, keep your name in the sport like that, bro, because, you know, you got talent in that ring. You know, it's just right now, you know, goddamn, you trying to sell the O, you know, before you even beat a fighter with a O. I don't like that for you, bro. You know, and then you got some speed on you. You got some power on you. You know, that Renee fight, I seen some grit. You can get knocked down, come bite. You know what I'm saying? And I like that. I'm a big fan of that. You know what I'm saying? That's why I cover you on this channel, because I know you got that part. I just don't like how y'all kicking that shit on the business end, on the back end, right? Because I know Schofield got a child. You know what I'm saying? And I need, you know, I need everybody to understand it's not just Schofield. You know, even if you just watching this video, I need y'all doing what it take to make sure all that shit's straight, bro. I need y'all doing what it take to make sure it's straight. You know what I'm saying? You know, if it take me 10 years to get 200 racks for my kid to go to school, but it take you a year to get it, shit, both of our kids gonna go to school then. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it's about. It's about pushing this shit to the next level, going to the top, not wasting our potential. You know what I'm saying? Not wasting our potential, going in there, staying focused, going in there, doing what we need to do. You know what I'm saying? And you know, it ain't no question for me if he has the talent to do so or the skill. It's just we gotta start moving him right. We gotta start moving him right. He get the support online, you know, cause he keep popping up and popping up and popping up with Pop. But like, we need the support to be in the ring now. You know what I'm saying? We need the support to be in the ring now. You know what I'm saying? I see Buddy light up when he talking about, you know, the legacy in the sport, getting big fights. You know, and it's just time to make sure that the business is moving you in that direction. You know what I'm saying? You know, in life in general, you know, waiting can be a strategy, yes. But, you know, in a lot of things, waiting isn't the best strategy. You know, the most recommended strategy is to go in there and get started. You know what I'm saying? I want these guys to get started. You know, Gary Russell right now. You know, Vet. You know, he been in there with a lot of guys, a lot of talent. You go out to DC and all them areas, you know, highly respected, the whole family. You know, you beat a guy like that, you know, it look a little bit different than beating a guy like Tevin Farmer already having 8 losses. You know what I'm saying? It just look a little bit different. Then you got Tevin Farmer, whose skill set won't able to take him to the next level. You know, Gary got a skill set that was able to, you know, help his brother become a champion. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, he got a skill set, you know, just him being around you can make you better. You know, you beat a guy like that, you know, then what can these guys say? You know what I'm saying? Then what can these guys say? They can only give you your credit in the ring. You know what I'm saying? Then when you out the ring and you get to popping that shit, we like, hey, yeah, he went in there and brutalized, schmurtalized Mr. Gary. I'm talking about he went in there and I'm talking about put him to sleep in 5. It was easy work. You know what I'm saying? Then I'm gonna get on here. Then I'm gonna push. You know what I'm saying? Tank was scared of Russell. You know what I'm saying? Schofield went in there and beat Russell up. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm going to get on here and get to kicking it. But, you know, right now I'm seeing a lot of name calling. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't seeing no nothing come with it. See what I'm saying? I need to see something coming with it, man. The sport of boxing kind of getting dry. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to have to start getting on here fighting YouTubers and shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to have to get on here, you know, Smackdown Royale. You know, off the top rope with the motherfucking elbow. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's why I like Blair Cobbs for the sport. You know, bring some excitement, some energy, some different type of energy to the sport. You know, these guys too serious, man. These guys, these guys get the chicken and fall bite. You know what I'm saying? You got to get the chicken, keep going. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, do Schofield have the talent to get to that next level? Absolutely. Is he going to get there with Dad holding the hand the whole way? Maybe. You know what I'm saying? Is he going to get there talking? Hell no. Hell no. Hell nah, cause it's not turning into nothing. It ain't no real smoke. It ain't no real nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying, hey, you know, that street stuff talk about. You know, we need to turn that mentality into, you know, boxing. You know what I'm saying? We going to these events, popping up. What's shaking? Oh, that's Tank. Sucker. What's up? What's up? You know ain't nothing finna happen. Y'all both fight for real. You know what I'm saying? But you building your you know, the online thing, it get me. You know what I'm saying? I think it's the older I'm getting, I'm starting to be like, this online shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm not finna get on here and get to talking about no dude for no year and a half, and I'm not trying to make some shape. That ain't even me. Like, that ain't even me. Even if me and you arguing in person, like, I'm not finna be arguing 10, 15, 27 minutes. Hell nah, what's this finna turn into? Oh, it's finna turn into nothing. All right, well, we not talking about shit. Catch my drill. You know, but hopefully kid get in there soon, man. It done been about a year. You know, and that Tevin one don't, you know, it count, but it don't really, he ain't really get to go in there and show nothing. Tevin was already Tevin. See what I'm saying? But, you know, hopefully these guys can get it together in the sport right now so we can get these kids something to look up to. You know, but right now these guys, they showing up late. They showing up overweight. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's just the sport right now. It's not looking professional. Let me say that. These folks got to get they license and all that, but these folks not professional. The establishment in the sport is not professional. You know, and you know, that's why we seen these guys so inactive, man. You know, even if you go back to the PBC time, right? You know, we was getting some fights. You know, we might not have been getting all the fights and the best fights and whatever, because boxing fans are always ungrateful, right? But, you know, we got to see Earl, we got to see Sean, we got to see Thurman. You know what I'm saying? You know, around this time, Devin was, you know, coming up, Shakur coming up, Tank coming up. You know, we had a lot to look forward to in the sport of boxing. And, you know, now these guys have came up and have made their marks in the sport. You know, it's just seeming like, you know, the Floyd Mayweather blueprint has turned into these guys getting lazy. But Canelo took that same blueprint, and I'm talking about, like, his work ethic. Say what you want to say about Canelo, his work ethic. You know what I'm saying? You come twice a year and get 60 M's, a 50 piece, a 40 piece. You get a 40 piece in May. Come back September, get another 40 piece. That's how I give it up. That's the type of hustler I am. If I'm beating this block up, you know what I'm saying? And Shawty, I ain't gonna go there, but, you know, Shawty getting it, we gonna stay on this block. We ain't finna switch this block up. You know what I'm saying? You know, these guys, especially, you know, on these lower tiers, right? These lower tier fighters, you know, they getting a M or 2, 2.5, you know, and we not seeing them for a minute. We ain't seen Earl in a minute. You know, we ain't seen Jermell Charlo in a minute. You know, and you know, that's that switch I'm talking about. You know, that switch to keep getting it. Cause that's what it's about. Cause if you ain't waking up getting it, what you doing? If you in the sport and you ain't trying to get it, what you doing? You know what I'm saying? That's why, you know, being in tune with your star player in this sport, you know, is important, because when you focus on what everybody else doing and what everybody else got going on, you not focusing on how to build your career. You know what I'm saying? And when you building your career in this boxing shit, you gotta have the fans on your side, and you gotta have that resume to back it up. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't, you just chatty patty. And if you just chatty patty, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't want to book your ass. Me personally, I got a club. You know, you just talking about music, you ain't got no new music. I'm not finna book you. I'm finna book buddy ass who got that new flame, that shit that just dropped, that heat. I'm not finna, hell nah. You know what I'm saying? You know, you just gotta watch, not just in life, but in general, you know, in business, you know, all of that. You know, you gotta watch the bridges that you burn, because you might got to cross them later. You know what I'm saying? And you know, a lot of these fighters think they bigger than the program. You know, you gotta get what you get out the sport and get gone. But, you know, that comes with that sacrifice in between there though. You know, fighting them hard fights. You know, taking some damage, you know, getting punishment. You know, it comes with all of that. But, you know, if you move strategically, you know, it look a little bit better at the end.